I do believe if you're going to say or be critical of somebody, you should try to do it to their face. And Grumpy is here, so I'm gonna say that I was very upset and very annoyed by the title of this video because I watched Grumpy during the entire CitizenCon show. In my chat, be excited by the things, and then I come across a thumbnail and a title that says CitizenCon 2023 was meh. My thoughts on CitizenCon 2023. He's back. He's back. He said he would be back when they did or made some progress or something that he liked. Something to that effect, right? So he's back. So he must have liked things, but then he said it was meh. So I'm confused. So we got to hear what he actually means by all this. So here's the GrumpyEye video from 2 days ago. CitizenCon 2023 was meh.
I'm back.
Hello, my name is Grumpy.
That's a good intro.
No, I'm not really back. This is just an illusion.
Okay,
No,
so
but
he's
seriously,
not back.
you guys wanted me to talk about CitizenCon for fucking so long. And
Okay, he's back and he has an epic goatee. What just happened?
And you keep on spamming every fucking video that doesn't have anything to do with Star Citizen. We're like, when are you gonna come and play Star Citizen? When are you gonna make a video on Star Citizen? So I decided to, make one. And it's been like 2 or 3 months since I did my final or my last Star Citizen video. And like since Asmongold did it, since Big Fry did it, Dr. Disrespect did one, like, why shouldn't I? Or am I banished from the land of the Forever Alpha by...
You're banished. Yeah, sorry. Dude, every single time... So since Grumpy is in my chat a lot lately, in the last, like, I guess since CitizenCon, he's been popping by, and even a little bit before then, anytime his name pops up in the chat below me when I'm reacting to something else, they're like, oh, I get multiple, oh, Grumpy's back now? Oh, he's back? Oh my God, let it go, people. Let it go. It's just a video game.
The decree of the whitest of the knights. Like, come on, dude. Like, get a fucking life. So after addressing all that bullshit that people keep on fucking spamming whenever I join the game and I'm like in global chat, or whenever I join a stream of my friends, such as SaltEMike, that I consider a friend.
Hello,
like,
friend.
I fucking
Hello, friend.
hate that part of the fucking community. But yeah, let's talk about CitizenCon. Oh my God, they're working on base building. Holy shit, it's fucking amazing. Oh wait, no, this was CitizenCon 2017. But did you see the fauna though? The fauna is fucking amazing. Wait, this is still CitizenCon 2017? Like, what the But the space whales, Grumpy! Did you see the fucking space whales? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, but I also saw a sandworm back in 2016. But oh my God, the server meshing is here. Oh yes, shower means server meshing. Oh no, this is another game.
Yeah, but did that game ever become anything?
It's called Scavengers, and it had like up to 4,000 players in the demo for server meshing. But it's working! Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Grumpy?
It died.
Nobody else has this tech! Oh no, shit, this is PlanetSide 2 from 2012. A game that is released and is working and has up to 1,500 players on a server. But, okay, just please calm your boob...
I think New World has more players on a server, right?
For a second here, and let's talk about server meshing
New World
first.
servers are
and
pretty
look,
big.
I don't want to be a complete asshole here, but not only did they mesh a single room with a minimal amount of clients connected to that shard, they also showed us that the tech doesn't really even work. The video that is playing right now on the screen is a video by Golgot100, and he highlighted all the bugs that have happened during that presentation. And even if you didn't catch all of the...
So, okay, I don't think that this is entirely fair to say that it didn't work because there's bugs with it. Because it worked. Because it worked in other situations. But the big thing is this was just their way to visualize it. So there's no way of knowing that it actually worked until they put it on your computer, right? So like I saw both videos. I saw it functioning in many ways with their visualization of it. I saw it bugged with their visualization of it. So in the end, it just doesn't matter until we get it. And I think that's probably Grumpy's point, is that it doesn't matter unless you do it. Like, showing it doesn't mean you did it. I know that this was a big deal. I know that this meant something to them. And I know that this is something. But is it what we need? I don't know. We won't know until we have it. We still don't have that replication layer testing, all that stuff. So, you know, I do like that Gal got pointed out that because it wasn't perfect.
Bugs during the
But if you weren't really paying close attention, it looked fucking perfect.
live stream, it is very worrying
live,
that the
'cause you couldn't
people
pause.
lost their shit over a single room that was on a mesh with like 4 or 5 clients connected to it. The issue is that we are all used to the game being in such a bad state that we lose our shit over some minor bug fixes and features being added. And don't get me wrong, I also lost my shit when they added cargo to salvageable ships. I also lost my shit when they added the tractor beams right now, like a couple of days ago,
Yep, he did. He was in chat like, no way.
to the ships, and when they added or when they reworked the headlights so they actually work now. Well, they're not really working, but that's what I'm talking about. We are losing our shit over some minor
Basic
changes,
stuff.
and that is very worrying because you can see that they basically just started working.
Okay. Here's where me and Grumpy fall down this hole a little bit, and I think Grumpy significantly more than me lately, because I think I've recognized it, and I think I've tried to address it a little bit more, and I think maybe Grumpy needs to as well. But again, feel any way you want. I don't give a fuck. But the thing that I've noticed about myself is that you can't look at something without seeing the bad parts of it, right? So how I tried to look at the situation and how I'm trying to look at the current situation is I'm not losing my shit over the basic mechanics that they're adding. I'm just very happy that instead of doing nothing, instead of saying nothing, instead of showing nothing, instead of doing no quality of life, that they are. Right? So for me, that's what I'm losing my shit over, is like their change in policy, their change in direction, their process seems to be more focused on us and less focused on ship sales, which is totally not the case because 321.1 is a fucking mess. But that's what I lose my shit over. And I know he's not referencing me necessarily, but I do think a lot of the community is not losing their shit over basic things. I think that they're losing their shit over the fact that CIG is actually delivering the basic things. Do you know how many arguments I've had with people in Discord, in my comment section on Twitch about basic things being added and players believing that those basic things don't exist in this game, right? So like for me when I lose my shit, it's about the fact that this game isn't what all these, in my opinion, delirious people think the game should be. This game is 100% a sim people, like that kind of, you know, it's a universe simulator. You know, that sort of thing. When they started calling it, they called it an MMO, right? They started using video game terms instead of like real life, like this. You know, this is going to be an alternate universe for you to play your real life in, kind of thing. So yeah, that's sort of why I've been super happy, and I think that's why other people who follow the project that maybe feel similarly or getting so excited by things at CitizenCon, because things at CitizenCon were all player-facing improvements, right? Instead of, look at this really cool location or look at this really cool ship. It was a lot less of that and a lot more player-focused improvements. So I don't think I'm the only one that's feeling this way, and I don't think the tone that Grumpy is taking is that we're stupid for feeling that way. And maybe that's true, maybe that's not. And I think he's typed in chat, but I've been on this rant for too long. I wasn't really reading chat during that.
Working on server meshing. Like, it was supposed to be in the game in 2018. And
he says, I'm the same. Okay, so your tone feels condescending towards people, and I have the same problem where I'm not being condescending, but it sounds like I am. I was just definitely being condescending towards those sim people, though, because I think that they've been kind of lost in the sauce of what a video game is for a while, and Star Citizen's finally shifting towards a video game, which is nice.
Earlier this year, like in January of this year, they posted a video that was like supposed to be a series of videos, but it wasn't, it doesn't matter. But it was a video on server meshing and how they're working on it. But this is something that like, this is basically the fucking beginning. And everybody lost their shit over a room that was poorly server meshed. Like, it's not even fucking working properly. Come on, guys. But it's not all that bad. The only good takeaway from that whole presentation was the replication layer that we will all be connecting to. That thing seemed to work properly, but it wasn't the main focus of the presentation, because they simply had to focus on showing you server meshing, because that is something that we've all been
they spent a lot of time on the replication layer. I certainly recognize
waiting for half a decade now, basically. So
I'll speak for Grumpy here, because I do this as well. When I post a YouTube video, I'm basically it's like a flow of your thought, right? Of like what. Maybe he's being critical of himself for feeling that way based on the things that he said in chat. Why am I getting so excited over these things that aren't even working, right? Perfectly.
From what I understand, with the replication layer working, that basically means that 30Ks will not happen as often as they do right now, because you will be connected to the replication servers instead of the main servers. But it's still a server, and we all know how stable CAG's servers are. I mean, yes, of course, it's still an alpha, and yes, they're smashing bugs that like keep on 30K'ing the servers or disconnect.
Yeah, but the idea here is that the server would have to simulate less because it's only dealing with one area, and then the replication layer takes some of the load off of it, so that should improve the servers, and then server meshing should improve them even more. So the idea of it being unstable should be less of a problem in the future if all this stuff actually works, but who knows?
Connecting you or CTDing you, sure, at some point that will all get fixed, but it's like that point is not now, guys. Like, you understand that, right? Now let's talk about.
But the replication layer is still hosted on a server, but they made a post explaining that most of the crashes happen because of the simulation, something that the replication layer doesn't do. So it will crash, but it will crash significantly less than the current crashes that we have. So yes, we will experience 30Ks, but they should happen like never. That's what I said. All right, well then I'm going to watch, and I'm not going to respond to your chat for a little while. We'll talk after then.
Maelstrom, Mael penis. Now let's talk about destructible environments. If CAG pulls this off, I'm going to tip my hat to them. But there is a reason why most multiplayer games do not have this feature, especially if they're a massive multiplayer game. Most games do destructible environments with smoke and mirrors. They literally use smoke to cover up the destruction and most of the rubble despawning, and then maybe they leave the biggest chunks laying on the ground. The reason is simple: that new object that spawns from a destroyed wall is a new entity with all of its physical properties, and it needs to be in the same place, oriented the same way on all of the clients, because every player needs to see those destroyed walls in the same way. If not, some players would have an unfair advantage in a PvP scenario. Therefore, all the physics and the orientation need to be handled by the server. In this case, it's going to be the replication layer, but that puts a ton of unnecessary strain on the server. But as we all know, CAG loves putting a lot of unnecessary strain on the server.
Oh, I missed it. The finals?
Didn't you see the master modes? They're fucking glorious. I don't know how I keep on doing this, but like somehow I keep on doing this. This clip was actually from last year's CitizenCon, and we somehow still don't have master modes. But now it's time for a...
But Grumpy, we do have it in the experimental mode.
quick quiz. Go down into the comment section and tell me, do you know when they actually announced the aerodynamic system and the control surfaces? I'll wait, I have time.
2018.
Actually, let me... while you're at it, you might as well subscribe, but don't subscribe because of Star Citizen, because this is not a Star Citizen channel anymore. If you said 2020, you guessed it right.
Oh.
Yep. So moving forward, we like I've just said, with the aerodynamics is we're making the ships depend much more on the real aerodynamics of the ship.
And yes, the quantum jumping animation looks really good. And yes, the master...
It looked really good the first time. It is flashy as hell, and I don't think it's going to be good anymore.
Will solve some of the problems.
I feel like it's going to hurt your eyes after a while, no?
But we still need to see it in the PU before we celebrate, because we simply don't know if the master modes are gonna cause more problems than they solve. But we won't see it anytime soon, because the only ship that has the master modes update is the Gladius still, and we have 200 ships in the game. And what the actual shit is this? No, like seriously, like what the shit is this? And I understand that a game like this needs to have a zoom feature. I've been asking for it for a while now, but like I'm a DCS player and I have that on my slider. Why not just borrow the thing from DCS? Like this just looks...
Did they not? What's wrong with what's the difference?
Jank. This is just like weird. And
I feel like it looked jank because of the frame rate.
Arcadey, and no.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
guess for
arcadey.
Spawn 42 it's fine, but for Star Citizen, sure. Not only that it looks arcadey, it gives an advantage to the...
Oh, it's more like the Starfield version, right? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Fighters. In this demo...
Arcadey equals accessible. I don't know, man. I'm going to be that guy. I don't care. Like, I don't think this game was supposed to be accessible. Like, I know Chris always used a controller or whatever, but I think the game also, was supposed to have loading screens a long time ago, and I'm kind of not for the controller thing, but I think we all know they're trying to, at this point, are all making the assumption that this is going to end up on consoles, right?
You could see that the Gladius easily took down 2 out of 6 turrets on a big-ass Corvette ship that was made to counter small fighters. So unless the turrets get a new overpowered mechanic, this will render the multi-crew ships useless.
I think you're reading way too far into this. They're all using ballistics that seem like they have a lot of them, right? I think you're reading way too far into what happened here and who won this fight.
Useless and make a new meta with the Gladius, because the Gladius never seemed to fucking die. If a small fighter can take down a Corvette without any issues, then imagine what would happen to you in a hull.
Like it's not even shooting at the guy, the main character here.
Or an MSR. And I can only hope that they will balance things out and that this thing won't fucking break the game. But you never know with CAG, because remember 314 when they buffed the turrets, they were OP.
I didn't remember hearing them say that, but
and
fair
then
enough.
They nerfed them, but like now they're gonna buff the fighters.
They also tweeted and said that they turned down the hit points for the demo. Okay. Fair enough. Bro, not everybody can... Listen, there was, 15 hours of footage? I literally paused all your jokes. Sorry, I can't get to the jokes when you got wrong information and people are saying it and then giving you a hard time for it. I'm trying to defend you. So, you guys need to chill out because we can't catch everything. All right? You put your opinions out there. It's not wrong info. It's literally wrong. They said that they turned down the Hammerhead for the demo, and then they turned up the Gladius. So it is just wrong. When you were like, I'm concerned that the Gladius is too powerful, when they said that they made it powerful for the demo. And that's what chat is responding to. Okay.
And then they're probably gonna buff the turrets. And then they will buff the fighters. And then they will buff the turrets. And then they will buff the fighters. And then they will buff the turrets. And then they will buff the fighters.
Well,
and then they will buff the turrets. And then
Until
they
they
will
get it
buff...
right.
Then we have things like the
think he
FPS
froze,
radar
guys.
and scanning, which could potentially break the game for PvPers. I mean, if you can see through walls, it gives you an advantage over the guy that is trying to hold a room. But I guess with all the desync, you already have a huge advantage because you can turn a corner and shoot a camper before he even sees you entering the room. Or you might as well be invisible, because that's still a thing. But okay, I might be overreacting, maybe it will be completely balanced and fine, but
I mean, I think that the other player has the same ability too, right? But I don't like it either. This is one of my biggest concerns of like, do we really need that? I don't think so.
most of the PvP games that have that kind of a feature tend to keep those kinds of abilities on a very long cooldown, and they balance it out somehow. And then we have the raids that seem promising, but we still have to see them and what they
the
look
raids were,
like. And they can call it
so-
whatever they want, but it's basically just a mission. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about getting new missions in the game because the game itself is really boring, and all the missions are super repetitive. But calling it a raid got me slightly worried, because it sure seems like a more complex mission than any of the missions and events that we currently have in the game. So does that mean that most of the missions are going to be as simple as the ones that we currently have, and then we'll have the raids that will add some complexity to the game? And
how many MMOs have you played, Grumpy? Because in reality, the simplicity of missions isn't actually, in my opinion, a problem. It's the lack of weight behind doing them. That is. So I get where you're coming from, is you want like variety and you want it to feel different, but like a bit of WoW and a lot of Destiny too. Is Destiny really an MMO? I don't know, but I think that in MMOs you do repeat the same actions a lot, but you do them because but I feel like in Destiny that's a similar experience, right? So you repeat them because there's a reason behind doing it. And I think that the other aspect is that there's no, I know lore is a meme here a little bit lately, but there's no lore behind it. So yeah, I think that that's kind of what it is that's missing, right? Is that you're not, well, yeah, progressing, right? So you're not working towards anything. There's no meaning to what you're doing. So you're just going down and killing enemies in a bunker, but you don't really know why. And the reward is just money, which is meaningless in the game at some point, right? No matter if you start out with an Aurora and even buy a few ships, because that obviously is some progressing in the game right now for some people. Others there isn't because they bought them or whatever. But I think the MMOs have a lot of repetitive things, and then they have a couple of complex things that you repeat over and over again, right? So it's like, what will this game be? And I think that they really worded it weird because they called it a raid. It's not like a World of Warcraft raid. It's you raiding a bunker, right? So that's one that I was like, oh, raids. Oh my God, we're going to get like deep mechanics, boss mechanics. It's going to be crazy. And then they were raiding a bunker, so they called it raids. But yeah, so I don't think the mechanics will get exciting or change or be very MMO-y. I think that would be really weird, honestly, for Star Citizen. If you were playing like, I don't know, a Souls game, right? And just have like weird boss mechanics. It would just be super weird, right? But I think the issue there is not that they're repetitive, is that there's no reason to repeat them. That's my feelings. But I absolutely want variety to the things that we're repeating too, whether it's different enemies, different voice lines, different stories. So, yeah.
if so, are they going to be different every time, and how many will we get? Because I've had my fair share of raids and dungeons in Destiny 2, and even though they are fun the first time you play them, you will go back to them only for the random high-level loot drops, and not because they're fun to play 10 or 20 times. So after a while, it turns into a serious grind, and that's when
I wonder if this is the game for you then, or if MMOs are the game, right? Because when I heard that, I was like, I don't replay the boss because it's fun. I like the grind because the grind is fun in those games. And I don't want to say that don't play this game. I don't want to say those things. But I just want to share what my mentality is. You replay New World bosses because they're fun? Yeah, I think that that's fair too, right? But I remember Destiny bosses, I only played it once, but you know, I played through to max level or something like that when it first came out, Destiny 2, and I remember it being fun. But yeah, I kind of grind for the loot, and the loot is fun. Like, I've gone through on New World and done what are they called? Corruption portals over and over and over again, trying to get an axe. And when you get the drop, it's like a good feeling, you know? So it's but I also want to make sure, because I see everybody in chat like grind equals fun. Grind does not equal fun for everybody. So in Star Citizen, where it's trying to be like an everybody game, I don't know how they're going to succeed here. Right? I don't know what the success is going to be, because it's either going to be too grindy for a lot of the people in this community, or it's not going to be grindy enough for a smaller amount. So where do you think they're going to go? You know?
When the game starts being repetitive.
I love
and boring.
grinding, though.
And even though you have other content in the game, if the rare and high-tiered loot is only found in the raids, you will only want to play those raids, but you will hate every single bit of it. Now the change...
That's a good point. Do you think... Well, we have crafting. Maybe they go the New World route, which is, I think, a pretty good... One of the really good things about New World is you can craft really good gear. And it's not the best gear, maybe isn't always just found in raid, right? It's not found at dungeons. Some of it is, some of it's not. I think that they did a really good balance of where you find the best in slot kind of stuff. I don't think we'll really have best in slot in Star Citizen, right? Because it's not really an RPG. But when we hear about crafting everywhere else, I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe these raids, you get some stuff, or who knows? Yeah, maybe you get good blueprint. Who knows what this is? But if there's a blueprint that's exclusive to this raid, how will that work? Well, how I always played, because I was more of like a solo player in the MMOs that I played. It's not an RPG in terms of like there's no skills, or there might not be like very special stats on certain things. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm referring to. But the thing that I would say to that question is, I'm not a PvPer. Let's say that I don't like doing PvE like bounties, but let's say that the PvE bounties at the highest level rock the highest level components, right? So let's just use that as an example. Let's avoid raids altogether. Something I don't enjoy doing, something I don't want to do in Star Citizen is PvE spaceship versus spaceship combat. I find it incredibly boring, especially sitting in a turret. I think it sucks. Now, would I do that grind to get that stuff? Maybe. Or I could do the grind that I enjoy, salvaging, mining, crafting, make money. And if there's a marketplace, somebody who enjoys that grind can get that thing over and over and over again, and then sell it on the marketplace to somebody, right? So what I hope, and what most MMOs do for players, is they find the role they enjoy. That role allows them to make money, and then the things that they want, they buy with that money, right? So that's what I hope we get here. So yes, even if the best things are only found in raid, go do whatever you enjoy doing and spend your money on that find in raid stuff that you want, right? And you earned it the same way they did. That's how I feel, and that's how I always approached the MMOs that I played. That's how I always approached it, is I couldn't get the best stuff, so I did it the way I could and got the best stuff by earning money, right? Grind can be cool if you get a big reward, like that helmet that you got during PvP event, but it's not if it's just repetitive. Every time you do it, you get a different high-tier stuff. That's how it works in D2. Even if you get... Okay, at least how I played MMOs, even if you get the same item over and over again, selling it on the market is a good feeling to me. So I don't know, maybe we're just not going to see eye to eye on that one.
The audio sound great, but CIG really needs to get their shit together and figure out what kind of a game they want to make. There is no point in programming and or recording two different sounds for everything that happens around you. Not only that it's time consuming, but it's a known fact that most players will use the option that gives them a bigger advantage in a PvP or a PvE scenario, no matter if it's realistic or not. I myself would love the sound to be realistic, because it's immersive, but you either work on that or you work on the unrealistic sound design, which is also fine, but you don't do both unless you want to half-ass it and use low-pass filters to filter out everything that's happening outside of your cockpit or EVA suit, which isn't really what was advertised. Resource management and engineering sound great, and they told us a year ago how it's all gonna work, but I really wanted in the game to test it out, because I'm hoping that they will not break the game completely. Yeah, of course Grumpy is gonna say that something that is completely amazing is gonna break the game. Like, fuck that guy. No, but
true. But I think the most positive thing that we heard about the engineering is that that was funny, Grumpy. That they're gonna put it in the experimental mode before it comes in the game, so every opportunity to find those game-breaking issues as soon as possible.
Listen, I have a bunch of friends that are playing this game, and they have a bunch of ships, I have a bunch of ships. Why in the hell would they be on board my ship as an engineer, as a crew member, continuously fixing the ship up just to make it run? Like, why would they do that if they can get a Gladius, if they can get an Arrow, or if they can get, like, their own multi-crew ship? But then again...
Because it's fun. Some people want to play that way.
Again, will you even be able to solo a multi-crew ship? And yes, I know that they were saying this all along, but you still need to be able to fly the damn thing and to run away from danger if you need to. And I'm not even talking about fighting. Let's say you want to hold some drugs with the Hull C from Pyro to Stanton. You will need escort ships to make sure you don't get pirated. But if you also need a ton of crew members on your ship just to make the ship work properly, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm all about having to maintain your ship and having to fix stuff that deteriorates over time. And I love the idea of having more stuff on our ships to interact with, but I'm just hoping that it won't be yet another tedious task that needs to be done all the time just to make the ship function properly.
Absolutely. And we get the Star Citizen Live where that question was asked many times. So it's an unavoidable question. They're going to answer it to the best of their ability. And to be honest, I think the people that are on that specific feature are the top people. So I don't think they're going to fuck it up too bad.
But did you see the new hair tech, Grumpy, and the cloth tech? Did you see the beards? Did you see the beards? Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but sure, but like, whatever. Like, I'm all about gameplay. That's a good addition, but okay, fine. But in the end, all that I'm saying is that we need to see all of those things happen in the game, and that after all the CitizenCons in the past, I simply do not trust CIG with their deadlines. Chris said that all of this should be done and released to Star Citizen in the next 12 months, and everybody...
Or so...
It was hyped, but I think it's just laughable. You need to understand that it took them 3+ years to release some of the features like the tractor beams or the new flight model, and that they announced the personal hangars and freight elevators quite some time ago, and we still don't have any of that in the game. And I remember that the models for the tractor beams were done at least like 2 years ago, because I made my YouTube channel around that time and I covered it, and it still took them this long to make them work. Now once you understand that, you might start understanding how long it will take them to finish all the things that they showcased during this CitizenCon. But Grumpy, they finished Squadron 42. They have more people working on Star Citizen now. No, it's not finished. They're still working on it, and there are also 2 more sequels that are planned for Squadron.
Okay, well, I can correct you on this one very clearly. We had the main guy who left to go to Squadron 42, Richard Tyrer, in chat during CitizenCon, and we had an opportunity to like question and answer with him. and he came out and said, "We're back," as in many people are back on Star Citizen now. So it's not like moving on to the sequel. All those teams that were working over there, like gameplay teams delivering features, delivered those features, and feature teams are back. So features are being worked on in the PU again, or I guess the features that were being worked on in Squadron are now being ported over to Star Citizen is more what it sounds like right now. But he said, we're back. And I think I responded, just you or like a lot of people? And he was like, a lot of people. So yeah, thumbs up there. Obviously, that's still what Grumpy's saying is like a concern from everybody. Like, hey, what happens with the sequels, all that stuff. I think the sequels are probably on the shelf to see what happens with the first release. And if the first release is terrible, they're going to go with their tried and true and focus on Star Citizen since it's made plenty of money up to this point, right? But we'll see. We'll only know after.
42.
But come on, Grumpy, you know this. It's going to be much faster and easier to make a sequel.
No, it's not. And if you think it is, you're just delusional. Anyway, I have a video here that I posted a while back. It's about Squadron 42 and the problem with Squadron 42 and how it needs to be great. But yeah, just watch it after this one, I guess. And I'm not gonna lie, Squadron 42 looks nice, but the main issue I have with the whole presentation is that they really didn't show us what the gameplay is going to be like. They did show us some FPS combat, and honestly, it looked very clunky. And on top of that, we have the typical CAG way of reinventing the wheel and making it a fucking triangle with a crosshair that moves around. Like, there is a reason why most games don't do that, but again, I might be wrong. Like, we gotta see it, we gotta play it to know if it's good or not.
I don't like that the crosshair's always on either. I really didn't like that.
No. Other than that, I will only say this, which is basically what I said in my Squadron 42 video that you should watch after this one. And that is that Squadron 42 needs to be a phenomenal game, because the broad gaming community already sees Star Citizen and Squadron 42 as scams. And if the game is mediocre, people will tear it apart, simply because it took them more than a decade to release a mediocre game, which in the end can make a negative impact on Star.
I'll say this, the amount of time it took will mean nothing. If the game is good, if the game is decent and looks really good, the amount of time it takes will mean cock.
Citizen. It is not all that bad though. I am, for the first time in the past 2 years, actually really excited about the future of the game. Not because of CitizenCon, but because of the amount of content that we just got this month. We have a preview build that is locked behind a paywall of $1,000 that is currently running Pyro, and it looks really nice. And you can see how the gameplay in Pyro could change the
It's a $35 paywall, okay.
PU forever, especially if you want to run drugs from Pyro to Stanton. On the other hand, we have a PTU that is locked behind a $10,000 or $25,000 paywall that has.
Excuse me, if you sub, you can get in, okay. That's a $10 paywall.
Has a working vehicle, tractor beams, and a ton of new and improved stuff. So you can see that something is really happening and that there is some actual progress.
What location is this?
Now the issue is that all of that will go away probably as soon as the ship sales event ends, and you will be left empty and wanting more for quite some time. I'm hopefully wrong, but I simply have a pretty good track record of being right about these things, unless they really decide to go down the easy route and release Pyro to the PU with the jump gate being a loading screen that basically connects you to another server, which honestly at this point would be a good idea, because it's better than nothing. But I digress. All in all, I will give this CitizenCon 4 out of 10 grumplings, because it really reminded me of the CitizenCon from 2016 with all the sandworms and all that nonsense. And until I see all those things in the game, I will not trust them a single bit, purely because most of what they showcased this year is something that they were showing us for years already. And the fact that Tony Z is still MIA and that they didn't even mention the economy system once is a huge letdown. So it is obvious that they are not working on it at all. And that can happen with any of the features they promised this year.
I feel it's clear that there's a team now, but have we seen any work in game yet from them?
Could potentially drop them for the time being and start to
all assumptions. Well, if nobody says anything, what are we left to do? We're left to assume like Tony Z doesn't work there anymore or whatever, right? And then I think Xylo or somebody said that he does. So, yeah.
Working on other things. And I'm hoping that I'm wrong about all of this and that we will get all the things from CitizenCon within a year, but it's probably not gonna happen. But I will quote my friend that was watching CitizenCon and he was all hyped up and he basically just yelled, well, but it was on Discord, it doesn't matter. He yelled, "The next 10 years will be lit." And that's, ladies and gentlemen, basically what's going to happen. The next 10 years will be lit. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all my patrons that are supporting me through
Hopefully.
the harsh times of not covering Star Citizen, even though I was a Star Citizen, whatever, content creator for a while. If you want to support me, Patreon link is down there. You have the subscribe, of course, but you have also the join button. You have the chat, you know all the things and how things work. So yeah. So yeah. Don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling into space. I actually remembered to say this because I'm not using that catchphrase or whatever in a while. But yeah, love you all, and mwah, bye. Also, yeah, I'm not back. I was just passing by. Bye. Don't bye.
Wait,
Anyway.
is he on this time or is there more? There might be more. That's it? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Grumpy has the takes of seeing everything in the worst way possible, just like me. I did my best. My thoughts around everything are very similar to Grumpy's, but I take a different approach at it, on the sense of them. I don't think this was anything like 2016 or any of the ones since then. I think this was very much like an Ashes of Creation update, where they just lay it out of, this is what we're going to do. And it for me, it went, okay, so all of the things that I wasn't sure about, like, you know, do you want to do crafting? Do you want, you know, what's going on with base building? I am still very concerned about the economy, similar to Grumpy, right? But now we have a team and we'll see what they do, but they have a lot of work ahead of them. The laying out the plans was enough for me to go, okay, let's see you do them. Right? And that's basically what Grumpy said, but when you give it a 4 out of 10, when everybody's like, yo, this was a 9 out of 10, you know, people are just going to immediately just brush it off and be like, guy's dumb. But I think he's giving it a 4 out of 10 for now. But if all those things come into the game in the next 12 months, then I'm assuming that 4 out of 10 becomes a 9 out of 10, right? So I'm still just as cautiously optimistic as always, but the idea of it, I think we all know base building is not going to happen, but the difference between this CitizenCon and every other one was that all of this stuff, for the most part, in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, were all done for the convention exclusively, where everything that they showed at CitizenCon was all, not everything. The server meshing thing and the base building thing were clearly done for the convention. But the everything else were things that were done for Squadron 42 that now just need to be implemented into Star Citizen. So if you deliver that stuff and you deliver it with the vision that came with it, talking about reputation a lot, talking about gameplay a lot, and talking about the user experience a lot, then it's a very, very, very strong CitizenCon. For me, and that's why it was. Now, if it's if those things don't get implemented and it's the same old CIG, then, you know, it is what it is, you know, and that's all it's going to be. But that's my take on it. Is, you know, I am just as cautious in believing that, you know, any of this stuff is going to happen, but my hope is that it will happen because of the way they displayed it. And then lastly, I'm very happy with the designs being shared for the first time. So you can kind of hold them to those designs, which would be really good. So we'll have to see.